Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Greg dropping in on you. Hope everybody's having a great start to your week. We're already into Tuesday. You know what that means? That's Transformational Tuesday. So I'm always excited on each of these days because I get to share something with everyone that, if properly received and applied, can have an immediate impact on your lives, no matter what day we're on, whether it's Money Monday, Focus Friday, Thankful Thursdays, or Transformational Tuesdays. It's an opportunity for me to share the things that I'm passionate about, the things that I've invested my entire adult life into understanding at a level that allows me to be a force in the lives of other people and helping them achieve their goals. Today, I want to talk to you about 6 keys to positive and powerful change. Um, Before I do, I want to real quickly point you to the description box as it applies to what we're going to share here today. Look, for a limited time, for the first 5 people who enroll in the bronze package, which is a 12 week, 12 session package, for the first 5 people who enroll, you will receive a free upgrade to the platinum package, which is a 12-month 52-week, 52 session intensive engagement. Both of those are one-on-one with yours truly. I don't do a lot of those anymore, so these 5 are probably going to be it for a while. But the first 5 to enroll in the next 24 hours are going to receive a free upgrade to the platinum package. So for the price of the bronze, you're going to receive the platinum. The platinum is a $15,000 package. And believe it or not, people without hesitation work with me. Matter of fact, I have at least over the last, say, 5 years, had 25 of my platinum packages re-up multiple times, meaning that they didn't just pay once or twice, they paid a minimum of 3 times to do it over. I get results. And I have clients in multiple countries: Sweden, the UK, Germany, Perth, Australia, Sydney, Australia, uh, South Africa, Durban. So I am someone who is really passionate about what I do, and I get results. But again, this is for those who are committed, those who are willing to go the distance, those who are willing to put in the work. There's no magical quotient, there's no incantation. That this is a process, and I simply have invested myself in understanding the process, understanding human behavior, understanding the dynamics of the mind and how to apply that, and learning the strategies of success in a multiplicity of areas. So again, if you want change and you're ready to invest in yourself, this is an opportunity, a real big opportunity. Something I'm probably, going to do even less in the future. I've definitely scaled back my one-on-ones because it's so time intensive, and it takes so much of an investment from me. But again, it's the thing I love the most: one-on-ones with people who are truly committed to change. It's a place I love to live. But anyway, let's get to change, because again, I want you to understand something. Success isn't some uh, arbitrary experience or something reserved for some unique, specific part of the population. Success is about patterns. Success leaves clues. Success is the result of practicing principles that produce results. And those principles have been the same. You're going to have the right mindset. You're going to have a clarity of vision. You're going to have to be willing and committed to go the distance. And these things, when you bring them all together in one big area at one time, they produce results. It's unstoppable. It's unchangeable. It is how God designed this world to happen. I'm going to give you 6 keys to positive change that if you really truly pay attention to it and you start to act on it, you'll see a difference in a very short period of time. I can see change when I'm working with my clients. I can see a change as I start to work with them within the first 2 weeks. By 30 days, it's a completely different environment. Now we're locked in. Now we're moving towards something. Now we're on the same page. We understand the game. It's that quick when you know what you're doing. But the first thing you got to do is identify what you want or where you want to go. One of the biggest challenges I see with people who say they want something more is they don't have clarity of vision. They don't have a clear understanding of what they want or where they want to go. They know they want something better. I'll give you a prime example. About maybe 18 to 20 years ago, someone came to me after I had spoke, and they said that they wanted to experience success. And I asked them in what area did they want to experience success? And they said in the area of finance. And I said, okay, what does that look like for you? They said, I just want more money. And so, I'm like, okay, here's $5. You have more money. You're good. Have a nice day. And obviously they're like, come on, that's not what I mean. I say, well, just as I wouldn't know what more money means, your mind needs to have clarity. Your mind needs a number. Every day I wake up with a number on my mind, a number for my financial goals. I wake up with a position and a place on my mind for where I want to be and what I want to do that day. I wake up with what I want to have gained in that day with clarity. And then I turn around and I write it down in a journal. I make it very clear. The Bible even says, write the vision and make it plain so those who read it may run. Well, first of all, the first person to run is the person who wrote it, right? So in other words, you've got to have clarity of vision if you're going to do that. And most people will sit up and say, they know they want something different than what they have. But when you ask them, they can't with great specificity lay out for you what it is they want. And the more specific you come, the clearer the image is, the clearer the vision is, the greater the mind and subconscious can operate to produce and recognize the opportunities. But you got to understand, everything you ever want to be, the opportunity is around you. You just don't recognize it because you haven't programmed your mind to perceive it, to see it, to understand it. You're still operating on probably some form of a dynamic or mindset of lack. In other words, a lack of love, a lack of finance, a lack of opportunity, whatever it is. You believe that this box you're in actually has walls that can contain you. So you're sitting there and you're actually allowing a mental blockage, a limiting belief to hold you captive instead of shaking yourself free and stepping outside of that and moving into what's possible. Nobody is more gifted than another person. Differently and uniquely gifted, absolutely. Somebody being better gifted and having more, no. The problem is you're so concerned with what someone else has, what someone else is doing, and how they're doing it that you are literally ignoring the gift that you have inside of yourself. You are ignoring the talent. What does Proverbs says that your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men? What does that mean? That there's literally a space that the gifting you have that was innate in you at birth that you've probably used in all the wrong ways, that you probably stepped on, kicked on, or pushed to the side. That gift will make room for you, meaning it would expand your territory. It would expand your space. It will expand your reach. And then what else does it say? It say it will bring you before great men. What does that mean? Great men bring opportunities. Great men open doors that seem closed. Great men connect you with other great men and other great women. When you operate within your gifts, you will start to draw to you the things that you thought didn't exist. You don't have to chase greatness. Greatness overtakes you when you're operating inside the gift. When you're operating with an expectation that something exceptional and extraordinary is about to happen in your life. So that's the first thing. Identify what it is you want and where you want to go. Identify where you are now. Now, here's another thing. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to literally sit up and be honest with yourself and say, okay, that's where I want to go. But let's be honest. This is where I'm here right now. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. It's no matter where you're at, there's no reason to be down on yourself. No matter where you're at, there's no reason to be down on yourself. No matter what you're going through, where you've been, where you started. Let me tell you something. No matter where you start, it is not an indication of your capacity. Your state of origin, your genesis, is not indicative of your destiny. Let me say that again. Your genesis, the place of origin, where you start, is not indicative of your destiny. It simply lays the foundation on which and from which you build, that gives you the testimony that shows other people that started where you started what's possible when you achieve the great things that's possible within every last one of us. So then where you start isn't indicative. In other words, if you start in poverty, poverty is not your lot in life. It's not an assignment that you got to carry around on your back for the rest of your days and all of your conversations. It's in some way identifying this state of poverty. I'm broke. I'm struggling. I'm doing this. I'm barely making it. I'm barely. Stop talking your situation. Stop talking your circumstance. Start talking your destiny. Start talking what you perceive is going to happen in life. You shall declare a thing and it shall be established for you, so that the light may shine upon your path. In other words, the moment you declare something, it becomes a part of your reality. It's manifested. It has not reached the third dimension where you can see it and touch it. It's not tangible yet, but it's very real. And how you water it, how you cultivate it, is going to be what's going to come forth in the reality. You're living the realities of your thoughts and your declarations from time ago. Right now, where you are living in what you have stated, what you have thought, what you have manifested mentally and emotionally, and what you have cultivated by watering it, by consistently visiting it, whether it's good or bad. If you're in a bad situation right now and it is a perpetual, not a situational thing, you're going to experience loss. You're going to lose loved ones. You're going to have some financial setbacks. You're going to have some issues with business. I'm talking about where you are in a state where it's constant and consistent. Go back and look, and I guarantee you talked it, you thought it, you moved in it, you watered and nurtured that negativity that you're living in now. The only way that you change that is by moving into something different, by stating something different, by declaring it. You've got to identify where you want to be, and you've got to be very clear about it. Number 3, you got to create a sense of urgency. It is often said in my industry and in the industry I operate in, it's often said that goals without dates are simply fantasies. And what does it mean? Until you put a date on something, there's no sense of urgency. There's no timeline. There's no deadline. There's no urgency. But the moment you sit up and say, this is what I want, and this is the time that I've got to have it, it becomes urgent. Why? Because now I can look at this and say, this is what I need. And based on what I can understand, this is how long it's going to take me to get there. So this is how much I have to invest in it each and every day in order to achieve it by this time. Now, the problem is a lot of people set these goals so far off that they don't have a sense of urgency. I said, so for every major long-term goal, there are going to be shorter, more closer goals that are smaller that ultimately get me there. So for every major goal, there are micro goals. Why are the micro goals? Because I need something that is close enough that it wakes me up in the morning, a sense of urgency. Anybody who has followed me understands and knows that one of my most favorite quotes is that if the vision that you have for your life isn't so huge that it intimidates you, there's a good chance it's insulting God. What am I saying? I'm saying that God didn't design you for mediocrity. God didn't design you to be average. God didn't design you simply to exist. God didn't design you for poverty. God didn't design you to be manipulated, stepped on, and kicked on. God didn't design you to show up and go to a job every day that you literally hate. Do you realize that 85% of people in this country wake up and go to a job every day that they hate? I didn't say dislike, wasn't comfortable in, wish they had. 85% are showing up to jobs, and there's no surprise that the number one day and time for people to have their first heart attack is on Monday morning between 5 a.m. and noon. Why? Showing up to a job you hate that you've got 5 more days before you can take a break from it. Stress is a beast, and most of us are living in it because we think we are locked into our circumstances, and we don't realize that we have the power to change it. We don't realize that we can be agents, and I'm going to talk to you about agency in a minute. But You got to create that sense of urgency. Then you got to create a sense of personal agency. What I just talked about. What is personal agency? Personal agency is this capacity and this ability to take charge in your life. Personal agency begins with the understanding that life isn't happening to me. It's responding to me. It's responding to my self-talk. It's responding to my expectations. Why? God, life, and the universe meet you at the level of your expectations. You go through anything in life, you look back, you're never going to achieve above what you expect to happen. You're going to literally, through your process of thinking, out of the abundance of what? Out of the abundance of the heart, what? The mouth speaks. So out of the abundance of the heart, what? I'm speaking what my subconscious is telling me. Why is my subconscious telling me that this is going to happen? That's going to happen because my subconscious has been programmed by what it's been fed most, and now it's hardwired to produce the result. So if I want to change my situation, I have to change my programming, but I have to become a personal agent. I have to realize that I have control over my life. Now, let me explain something. When I talk about personal agency, I'm not talking about being a control freak. I'm not talking about somebody that's trying to sit up and control everything in their lives. What I'm saying is personal agency isn't about controlling everything. It's about controlling what you have the power to change. You worry about the things you have to change by the way you respond to it, by the way you believe, by the way you speak, by the people you engage, by the people you talk to, by the conversations you have, by the way you write, the way you journal, the way you keep your mind focused and fixed on it. You are now a personal agent. You are a participant in your destiny. You are no longer being dragged along by the situations and circumstances in your life. When you become a personal agent, you are not moved by what's happening in the moment, one way or another, because you know there's something bigger coming behind it. No matter how good it is, there's something greater coming behind it. No matter how bad it is, there's something greater coming behind it. So what do? You focus on it, you fixed on it. People, I've shared this with you so many times. People will look at me when I'm going through something. People will look at me when things seem dire and dim, and they'll look at me and I'm smiling and I'm moving and I'm helping other people. I'm serving in times where I should be just totally ministering to myself, and they can't understand why. And I tell them all the time, see, you're focused on the circumstance, but I am operating out of a spirit of trust with the spirit of God that designed me to do this thing. So when my spirit consults the spirit of God, there's something in my spirit that simply disagrees with any negative circumstance. And what does that mean? I see it, but it cannot stop me. It's just a momentary situation that I'm moving through. And I understand that I'm in control. I have a level of personal agency, personal sovereignty. I am in control of how I think. I am in control of what I say. I am in control of who I speak with. I am in control of what I allow into my gates. And when I can control what comes into my gates, I can control the state of my thinking on a conscious and subconscious level. If I can control my thinking, I can control my destiny. Be a personal agent. Number 5, develop tools to aid you. That's something you got to do. Number 1 is tools, journaling, the right videos, get a coach, get a psychologist if you need one, get a psychiatrist if you need one. Learn how to manage your thought processes. Learn how to be aware of what's moving through your mind. Feed your mind. Learn how to set your state of theta. Theta is theta is a brainwave state in which everything is being downloaded without filter. And when we are children, all the way up to the ages of about 5 to 7, we're in a state of theta. Theta is this thing where we're downloading everything that you can possibly think of that you now have set and hardwired as your paradigm of how you operate, what you can do, what you can't do, what's possible in life, what's impossible in life, what are the do's and the don'ts, what is socially acceptable, what is socially repulsive, and everything in between is going to be set by the paradigms you experience between birth and 5 to 7 years old. And once you get to that, you become wired. But beautiful thing about life is that's this thing called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity tells us that I can literally create new neurosynaptic connections based off of new ideas and thoughts that I entertain that create new pathways. And as I refuse to engage the old pathways and I constantly engage the new pathways that are in opposition of the old pathways, those neural those synaptic connections, those neuroreceptors in the mind and in the brain will literally atrophy, and they will move to the back. And then now I am now operating off of a predominant new concept, a new paradigm. That's what we call a paradigm shift. Now I'm operating from a belief system that says I can versus a belief system that says I can't. I am not operating from a belief system that is talking about wealth and financial freedom versus poverty. And it's all based off of the ideas that I put into my mind. Now, here's the problem that most people are going to have, and you're going to have this challenge as well. The thing is, we've been taught that your reality is what you see in front of you, and we are convinced that we cannot change our reality. Our reality is set, so we tend to talk our circumstances, and what we do is when we talk our circumstances, we reinforce those very circumstances, and we repeat the cycle that produced them in the first place. But what you have to understand is, if I decide that I'm going to do something different, I'm speaking. That's a part of in Hebrews chapter 11 where it says, he that calls things that are not as though they were. And I say this every day as a part of my meditation, and I write it in my journal every day, and I remind myself of this power that God gave me. I say, I call things that are not as though they are, and they become. I'm not looking at I don't speak anything negative into my life. I'm not saying that it's not there. I'm saying I'm not accepting it. I'm not receiving it. It says, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity into the obedience of Christ. What am I doing? I'm sitting up saying, I'm choosing what flows through my mind. I'm choosing what I'm going to speak out of the abundance of my heart. I'm choosing what I'm going to declare into my life. What am I doing when I do? I'm taking personal sovereignty. I'm becoming an agent. I have personal agency in my life. I am not simply moving through. Life isn't happening to me. It's responding to me. And if life is responding to me, then I'm dictating outcomes, regardless of situations and circumstances. You get what I'm saying? It's not that there won't be circumstances. It's not that the vicissitudes of life are not going to roll into your paradise. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that at a certain point, you're going to reach places that the circumstance told you wouldn't happen. You're going to achieve things that the circumstance told you were impossible. You're going to achieve things that your upbringing told you would never touch when you learn how to make the declaration despite of the circumstance. See, I call things that are not as though they are. When you do, after a certain amount of time, your subconscious is constantly hearing you say it. It starts to ways to look to align with it. Your subconscious doesn't say, what are you doing? Your subconscious will push back for a moment, but it will ultimately say that. That's why the state of theta is so powerful, because the state of theta bypasses your conscious mind. Your conscious mind saying, clown, you are not debt free. Clown, you are not a millionaire. Clown, you are never going to start a business. Clown, you come from poverty. You don't even have a degree. All these different things your conscious will tell you, and if it becomes the filter. But when you can reach a state of theta where you put things into your mind, that's why you got to be careful of the things that are playing in the background while you're doing things, because those things are bypassing your conscious. If you're focusing on something else and there's something playing in the background, some conversations happening in the back, be very careful of those, because those are bypassing the filter of your consciousness. You want to control what comes in. You want to remove that filter because you want things to go in that filter will try to filter out. You want hope to go in. You want audacity to go in. You want the faith and belief that you can do anything, that you can overcome poverty and become wealthy. You want to overcome. I can overcome abusive relationships and develop a healthy state of mind and move into a healthy relationship. You want to believe that you can create a business from nothing and grow it into something and change lives in this world. I'm talking about stuff I've done. I'm telling you that you've got to be in control of what's flowing into your gates. Now, finally, you got to learn how to respond to feedback. Now, you're going to get feedback in a number of different ways. And when people say feedback, the first thing they think about is somebody giving you feedback on something. That's one way. If you have some people in your corner, if you have a mentor, or you have a life coach, or if you have a life strategist or a performance psychologist like myself or whatever, and you're working with them, they're going to give you feedback. They're going to tell you what they see. They're going to tell you where they see you've grown. They're going to tell you where they see you resisting growth, and it's going to be your ability to take that. But some of the best feedback in work in life doesn't come from someone outside of yourself. It comes from your situations. If you keep getting something you don't want, it's feedback. It's telling you you're doing something you shouldn't do. If you keep getting the same situation, you got to drop back and ask yourself, it's nobody but me doing this. What am I doing that's creating it? What in my thought processes, what in my habits, what in my behavior am I doing to produce this consistently? Some things are just going to happen, and you got to be able to understand and recognize the difference between a situational thing and a reproduced reality that's in current cycle, consistent and perpetual cycle in your life. And you've got to understand the only way that I change the cycle is to interrupt it. I interrupt it by doing something different. You got to be able to respond to that feedback. When it's not what you want, you do what you need to do to change it. Where do you start your change at? In your mind. You start the change in your mind. When you start the change in your mind, everything else starts to change. If you can't change your thinking, you're never going to change your life. You're never going to change your situation. It starts in the mind. Now, I hope that what I shared with you today is something that you can take with you, something that you can use. I want you to be blessed. I want you to really play it back. Go back and play it back. Listen to it very closely. Listen to it very carefully. I'm telling you, there's some very powerful keys that will produce change in your life. There's nothing no one can do to stop this change. This change is totally up to you, but you got to be willing to do that. And also, don't forget, right now, the first 5 who sign up for the bronze package to work with me one-on-one will be upgraded free to the platinum package. That's 52 sessions over the course of a year with yours truly. And I'm telling you, it's going to be an experience. It's going to be intense, but this immersion into transformation is going to be one that you've never experienced before in your life. And it will be just that, life-changing. So on that note, look, I'm out here, as I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I challenge you to do the same thing. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day.